Welcome back to the most professional StarCraft 2, where I'd like to extend a massive introduction to the Terran player it's impossible to overlook. In the red, in the bottom right, it's HeroMarine, better known as Big Gabe. But on the other side, one of the smartest players in the world, and his German countryman, it's Lambo. A best-of-3 TVZ that I think won't be decided by a minuscule micro, but instead by titanic timings and massive mind games. These mental and metaphorical heavyweights having at it yet again. A classic Terran versus Zerg. And the only thing about this matchup I'd like to get any bigger would be the likes counter. Yes, if Jimmy... I know, yeah, that one was embarrassing. No, just 1,252 likes on this video, on this cast, and I'll cast another series. And maybe I'll commentate the Reaper poking and prodding at probes and Zerglings and then running away after accomplishing nothing but basic scouting. But probably not. I'll probably just cast another series anyways. But thank you for watching. Hopefully you've had a good day so far, and hopefully it's about to get just a little bit better. I am excited as HeroMarine and Lambo, but mostly Big Gabe, do have a different take on Terran versus Zerg. HeroMarine has been playing Mech in many of his games, and kind of a straight up kind of classical Mech style. Not really embracing so much the new Cyclones, but that good old-fashioned siege tank. Maybe throwing in some Banshees. I don't know if we're going to see it today, but I'm really hoping for it. Though the likelihood of it is significantly smaller if he loses a bunch of his SCVs and or early units to Zerglings in his base. The Hellions come out. The Zerglings have successfully scouted that HeroMarine is doing exactly what every Terran does in this matchup effectively all the time. And by that I mean like 90% plus. But going for 3 command centers, reactored factory, has a starport, access to everything. Lambo doing the same thing back at home. Not building those things, but getting 3 hatches, pumping out queens, just enough Zerglings, 8 more on the way to make sure that the Hellions can't run by and do critical damage uncontested. But we do have a cloaked Banshee on the way, which doesn't tell us too much, as you can go pretty far down the Mech road before switching back into a bio build. Is he gonna go by? Is he really gambling that Lambo did not make Zerglings after that initial attack? HeroMarine comes in. He's gonna get 4 drones, but Lambo anticipated it and gets the better end. 4 drones down, but for the Hellions and the Reaper there, I think that's definitely worth it. Oh, and that's a factory. It's gonna be Mech, but we gotta talk about the little mind game there. So those initial lings getting in, you're not going to gamble. It's like Terrans have to run the Hellions in 10, maybe 20% of the time to keep the Zergs honest for the other 80%. If you never ever run the Hellions in, then they'll get greedy. And if there's a 0% risk... Oh my god, those camera locations. Ugh, getting dizzy. If there's no risk of the Hellions running in, you can sneak out a few more drones, be a little bit more lackadaisical with the queens. But this time around, oh my god, it's a hyper mech. Hyperflight Banshees with cloak, as well as Cyclone speed on the way, though he's not building any clones yet. I guess maybe better than having the early blue flame when you... Actually, no, it's a bit odd to be going Cyclone speed. Now following it up. Cyclone Banshee. So definitely a new age mech here. Taking advantage of probably the most mobile units in the Terran arsenal early on. Both of them vulnerable, if caught, but Zerg really doesn't have any great options for dealing with either of these things. It's going to be cost ineffective, to say the least, to counter either of them. Unless they get surrounded on creep, which, well, I don't think Big Gabe is going to make that mistake. And of course, Banshees. The only unit Zerg has access to that can catch and kill the Banshees, instead of just deflect them, is the Mutalisk, which is not particularly great against mass cyclones in small numbers anyways. So HeroMarine definitely going for this mech strategy. He's quite committed to it. There's no transitioning into bio here. He's going to McDonald's and he's going to be ordering a full meal. And 2 armories behind. Does Lambo know? I feel like by the third... Okay, well, by the time you see 10 Hellions, 3 Cyclones, and 3 Banshees, you probably know. If he didn't suspect before. Banshee's headed up north. The Hell Clone on the south side, pushing at the creek. That double armory closing in, but Lambo's already got his 1-1 on the way. So he will at least have these upgrades. Did he build a Roach one? No. Hydralisk Den. Changeling taken out. The Queens. Alright. Brenda, why do the Terrans complain that we only build the same unit composition every game, yet they want to have 2 completely different unit compositions themselves? How is that fair? How does that make any sense? Karen. I'm sorry. Whoa, okay, Banshee's headed towards the 4th base. And not nearly enough Queens there to defend as Lambo tries to intercept the Hell Clone. And the Banelings are closing in. The janky little stutter step there of the attack-moving Cyclones. The Banshees were able to take out the base. And a pretty reasonable trade overall for HeroMarine. Even though he loses the clones and the Hellions, you gotta remember, those aren't the clones of old. These are the new, fresh, discount Fisher-Price clones here, which only cost $125.50 each time around. So overall, Lambo actually losing more minerals so far, and the gas count is minimal on either side. In fact, the mineral losses were so minimal that HeroMarine is now building 2, well, he's got 2 additional command centers. He's got a Ghost Academy on the way. What is this Bio-Curious barracks? He's adding 3 more barracks. He's going into Ghost Mech, essentially skipping the meat phase of the mech army and making sure he has those late game options. I'm almost certain that those 3 barracks are for Ghost production, as there's no way we're just throwing Marines in front of everything right now, despite the namesake. Meanwhile, Lambo, does he have an infestation? But he does not. So that means no Hive. That means no Vipers. That means no Infestors. That one's pretty obvious. Technically, Swarm Hosts can be lumped into that whole description. But there's the Infestation Pit. But HeroMarine is skipping up the tech tree here. Growing like bamboo at the moment. In every direction. As command centers, upgrades. He's getting building armor. Bronze League heroes, I've found your champion. Lambo is actually... Okay. Need to mine now. He's taking the gold base here, trying to make up for some of the economic disparity. But HeroMarine has literally 90 SCVs. This is the most economical play I think you could be making as Terran here. He's got 3 orbitals, building more command centers. We're looking at 5 bases. I think Lambo taking the gold is kind of necessary at this stage of the game. Little does he know how well off, how incredibly well endowed economically that Big Gabe is. Though he can have his suspicions, as clearly he's locked down on 4 bases, Lambo has not yet scouted that northern base. Sometimes just expanding this aggressively is your best defense. As if Lambo was even looking at that base, it more than likely would never have been able to land or build up. But instead, because HeroMarine took it so early, means it's perfectly well defended now. As in fact, it's our Mech Terran player with Ghosts already added into the composition and 4 more command centers on the way. He's going to be maxing out first, which is a bit obscene, I will be honest. It's beautiful, but also a little disgusting. Alright, so... Like watching someone eat 12 McDonald's hamburgers. McDonald's is also worthy of note. High-sec auto-tracking on the way. Five more command centers. On top of the 1, 2, 3. He's going to have a dozen or so. Couple ghosts on the way. Lambo, I'm sure, knows what he's dealing with now. He's even got the gases up in the top right corner. He's going to try to take both corners of this bingo strategy. Vipers, Neural Parasite, a key part for a lot of Zerg players will go for the big attack. They'll try to break this unit composition. Try it once or twice. Like, maybe it'll work. But a lot of the time, when it comes down to it, those first attempts to break the siege tanks, to break the defensive position, before you have the right unit composition to do so, those end up costing you in the long run. And you end up losing the war of attrition, and you just run out of resources before you can break the Terran. It's usually because of attacks like that. But the Banshees are able to pick off the top right base. You know, another attack attempted. Even Ravens had it in, but picked off easily by the Hydralisk. Now, Neural Parasite on those infestors is likely the biggest threat to the army composition. But of course, to someone who has 7 orbital commands, who's actually willing to build infestors, and who has already a dozen ghosts, 15 siege tanks, and 12 ghosts, alongside the Banshee hit squads, Lambo has so much money in the bank. He's made a greater spire as well. Broodlords are potentially part of the army, but ghosts, I mean, Vipers coming in. Blinding Cloud on the initial tanks. EMP doesn't find the mark. That Blinding Cloud, a huge part of this. But more ghosts from the north side. Vipers, some of them picked off. Might get one command center, but a command center pales in comparison to the amount of units being lost here. And it's not like HeroMarine doesn't have plenty to replace them. Not 124 Zerglings were in production for a moment there. And Lambo remaxes out. That command center is burning. Hello? Anyone? 40 HP. SCVs coming down to repair. More SCVs idle. HeroMarine, honestly, Lambo kind of did him a favor by knocking him down to 75 SCVs. In fact, some of them on union-mandated work break here. Those German labor laws, though. It's all about efficiency. It's maximizing their productivity later. Don't give us that, Observer. No. Let him cook here. Or whatever he wants to do on his free time. Oh my god. Moving on. To each their own. Coming in, Blinding Cloud, but the turrets are zoning out the Vipers. A defensive planetary in the middle of the ramp here. The Banelings will crash through, but I think the planetary definitely made them cost more than they were worth there. The cost of the Banelings far exceeding the cost of the planetary in order to take it out. We got smart servos, advanced ballistics now for the Liberators, as Big Gabe fills in. Essentially, every upgrade drops an entire mineral line of mules, which we should see helping. Now, it's not so much about the income. It's quickly becoming about how many mineral patches are left. As between the mules... Oh, a bit off-center there. Caduceus reactor is on the way, which is medevac energy regen. And in fact, he does have a few medevacs. The Ghost will snipe off some queens out on the field. The creep is encroaching on the base to the 6 o'clock. HeroMarine fortifying that position. Mass turrets across the board. Oh my. And the Ghosts running away. That hit some SCV micro in the planetary. The Zerglings taking out Thors. SCVs melted and ripped apart. And HeroMarine is actually down to 39, which sounds bad, but he does have 7 orbital commands, which so he is a bit low on the worker count, and Lambo is slowly but surely. Oh, Neural Parasite gets an EMP. So, well, he EMPs some of the ghosts, which is a fancy move, but there isn't enough on the ground to actually fight against this. Even the Thor holding its ground here. 3-3 is already done for the Mech army of HeroMarine. Four siege tanks at a time. How many? There are 4 sensor towers kind of overlapping there out on the field. Dozens of creep tumors in production, but HeroMarine was able to deny that base in the top right. It's barely been mined by Lambo. Siege tank out, a bit ambitious on its own there. Is that a siege tank over here on the high ground? Just trying to find every little location it can be tucked into. Zerglings will get another tank. HeroMarine has lost 14, leaving him with 14. He hasn't remaxed out. There aren't that many Banelings in the army composition here. Planetary will eventually be taken out. Another planetary to backstop. 17 more SCVs down. And Lambo is trying to play this war of attrition. He's trying to deny the bases out of HeroMarine. And the turret spotted a burrowed infester. He's trying to deny the bases and eventually use his superior economy. Are those Thor stuck? I'm sorry, I'm getting distracted by He's got 2 tanks, one of us. 2 tanks and a Thor, walled in by his extra command center. Is this going to be one of those platinum level games where like, oh, I guess I had 40 more army supply because it was stuck in my main because of poor city planning? At this rate, it's kind of shaping up to be one of those, as that is 3 tanks and a Thor stuck in the main, and HeroMarine is still very much producing on those factories that have created that scenario. It's one of those that, like, it feel... Oh. Infestors don't do so well when they can't see or attack or neural parasite siege tanks, believe it or not. Another base. Well, Lambo rebuilt in the top right. He hasn't been able to mine much more than he did before. Brenda! Come back! Those are liberators! Oh, no! Oh, my. Lambo trying to attack where the majority of the army isn't. Siege tanks at the natural. HeroMarine. Oh my god. Alright, now it's 5 tanks and a Thor. So, I was joking about the 40 supply, but we're getting there. Did he notice? Nope. Well, how many siege tanks can you fit in the corner of your main? The Liberators are moving forward. Go to the HeroMarine cam. Big Gabe can see a lot, but can he see why his siege tank count seems suspiciously low? He's still at 181 supply. Take a look around. The creep is encroaching on his base. Another ghost taken out. Oh my god. It continues. Hydras will take out a planetary, but the Liberators are trying to cut off their retreat. Parasitic bomb, but only hits one of them. Gonna take out several Hydras on the way. More infestors coming up. Now the infestor rally has been devastating from Lambo. That's 5 or 6 infestors taken out for effectively free, and now HeroMarine feeling ambitious. Goes out onto the creep. Most of the map has been covered in creep. The traffic jam continues back at home. But Lambo just doesn't have enough to fight this outright. The Zerglings on creep, though, closing the distance and overrunning the tanks. There's no Hellbats here to help cover. And since they're out of range of the Liberators, the Zerglings actually a weirdly capable counter. The Parasitic Bomb takes out one of the Liberators. Might end up taking out 3 in total, indeed. And this army looking a lot weaker than it did when it was halfway across the map. In fact, HeroMarine trying to get as much done as he can, but it's very likely that Lambo will eventually be able to crush this. The Hellions come up, but too little and too late. The queens get behind. Brenda will have her wait. They're snipes. No! The queens get taken out. Another round of snipes. Lambo has money in the bank. I think he's kind of deciding how to spend it. As Hellback Ghost is still... Oh my god. Oh my... He sieged up a tank. Was that on purpose? Oh my... Really? How... What? Can they get out? No, this is not important. The ghost over... Whatever. That's not important. What's going on here? Can they... It looks like they could get out, but... What? Is the space so small? Okay. There's literally 6 siege tanks and a Thor. Meanwhile, Hellions try to get something done. 3 drones. Oh my god. This is the real story, though. We keep coming back to this. The Hellions. Lambo's down to 130 supply. He's actually really struggling for larva because he has no queens. 0 queens. The monarchy has been removed here. But unfortunately, this isn't Brood War. That's just not enough larva. Even the... Oh, we know! This is the most important moment in the game. HeroMarine. We gotta go to the big game action camp. He takes a look around.
Mineral field depleted.
Well, and this is one of those games. It's such a... It is truly the highest low-level move to suddenly have another 40 supply popping out of your base because it got stuck behind your orbital command. The tempo of the game is about to shift dramatically. And Lambo, they are finally free. And suddenly, all 14... Why is it always 14 tanks? 14 tanks will be brought to bear. And Lambo, he has infestors, but not really enough of them. And this time, the Hellions are alongside. Hellions smacking their way forward. Or siege tanks, rather. The Hellions are just kind of standing by. The infestors! Why can't everyone just micro their infestors like Cyril? Just read the comments, Lambo! Don't you know? Don't complain that infestors have as much HP as a Widow Mine and take more damage from siege tanks. That's no excuse, you OP Zerg! Sorry. Now, the infestors are trying to come up here, but... Oh my god, the double siege! That is a lot of siege tanks here. Looking for an opportunity. Yanks out 1 Liberator, but... The Broodlords. Whoa, where's the anti-air? HeroMarine asked himself the same question. Somehow Lambo out of mining here. HeroMarine also, like, kind of quietly, this game has been reduced to almost nothing, as both players are under 1 base of mining. There's 1 relatively fresh base covered by creep. There's a Broodlord hanging out there. And the infestors have built up the energy. The ghost died a long time ago. He will siege the tanks. Neural Parasite would be incredibly helpful. The Viking count. Maybe Neural Parasite on the Liberator. The infestors will burrow. The Broodlord's working forward. The Vikings not able to take them out in time. Another fungal. The Broodlord's working their way through the tank count. Meanwhile, Vikings being countered by Vikings. A fungal on the tanks that will delay. Okay, here's some Thors. Neural Parasite on the Thors is obviously a dangerous option, but he only has 1. Nope, no infestors with energy. The infestors burrow their way away. And HeroMarine is left with a 20 supply lead. And Lambo's bank is gone. So... has HeroMarine won? Lambo has no money. All he has are a few infestors. There's nothing really to back him up. These mech units are badly bruised. Most of them have taken significant damage. Lambo is now... I guess Lambo didn't really mind from this base. It still has full gas at the geysers. HeroMarine is long distance mining. There's still a Broodlord. What is it doing there? The Broodlord's just been hanging out for like, I don't know how long, but finally paying off. Denying this base with one Broodlord. Drones are pulled. Oh no. It's getting desperate, but actually it's making the difference. The drones might be enough to take out the tanks or at least cover for them. As again, the Hellions were kind of late to the party. But whenever they get there, things heat up. The Hellions doing a great job incinerating the Hydralisks. That one Broodlord, finally the Vikings find it. More Zerglings trickling out. But Lambo's down to 35 supply. HeroMarine not too much better off. Those fully upgraded Zerglings still a pretty oh my god, we're just down. I said this. But the Infestors! The Liberator! A Neural on the Liberator could kill all these units! What is he gonna do? He's gonna Neural the tank. Okay. Alright. The game ends with Lambo owning more tanks, at least in the... HeroMarine wins. Or at least HeroMarine survives. Lambo losing 55,000 minerals. 17,000 gas. What an absolute brawl. But Big Gabe manages to survive it. Wow. With the influx of reinforcements from the main, able to help tilt the scales in his favor. But what a topsy-turvy Mech Terran versus Zerg roller coaster that was. All right, so 1-0 HeroMarine. Going in to game number 2 on Elkioni. I'm not sure after that one. Lambo, it looked like his strategy of just chipping away and leaning on him with his economy was working out. I think he bled out just a few too many Infestors. And the actual reserve force coming through, I think both sides had trouble bringing those armies to bear. Between the Broodlord Infestor and just Mech in general, they're both incredibly unwieldy. Trying to siege up your Liberators and your tanks and having your Thors in position and your Hellions together, let alone Ghosts. Honestly, HeroMarine just kind of gave up on Ghosts after a while. Which almost screwed it if Lambo had a few more Infestors that didn't have suicidal intentions. So, but at the same time, Lambo did struggle to put those spellcasters together at a time when he could really follow it up with the ground army, which is always a tough proposition against Mech, because you got to engage it just right, or it's better off not engaging at all. Well, here we are. Don't do it. The Reaper. Thinking about it. Quick run to bounce, but not going to get the creep tumor. What a game. Honestly, the only player I've really been seeing use it is HeroMarine. Those Hyperflight Banshees. What ended up happening to them? I think they just died in the first major. What is this? There's 2 starports. He's like, you know, I really thought those Banshees did well. All right, place your bets. One can dream. He's gotten a gas at the natural. It could be. I'm not going to say anything. I'm just thinking it very loudly. It's not. I mean, still cool, but... Hyperflight Banshees. Not the big game battle cruisers. But instead, the mass Banshee. Which, I said he's been liking the Banshees, but this is taking it to the next level. 2 starport Banshee. Huh. And then, I'm just gonna put it on the table now. Potential transition into battle cruisers later. Though usually, you don't opt for a follow-up of more high-tech air units because they're already countering your high-tech air units. So you don't really have the element of surprise or can exploit any obvious weaknesses at that point. But you know what? We can dream. All right, he's getting Cloak and Hyper Shees at the same time. That Hyper Flight rotors. Well, we'll see. Lair is on the way for Lambo. I think the quicker lair is partially just he knows HeroMarine so well. But just because he has potential detection doesn't mean he's necessarily going to be able to stop this amount of Banshees, as they do their damage incredibly quickly. And any queens left out on their own might be left out permanently. A conspicuous lack of anything else, I think Lambo is noticing. Did he see the gases? He has not seen the gases at the natural. There are cyclones behind this. Gonna go through the rocks on the mineral line at the goal. Tries to sneak in, but Lambo obviously has an overload there. But here come the Banshees. The Banshee hit squad screaming out maximum speed. One of the fastest units in the game. And a huge amount of damage behind it. It's just they are also quite fragile. Doesn't take too much to take down a Banshee. It usually makes up for it with that mobility. Here we go. Banshees come in. Overseer is there. Doesn't matter. Queen's hunted down. Drone slaughtered. 4 drones down and the queen to start as Lambo scrambles to defend. Gonna try to combine the forces. The queens will target the Banshees. Ooh. And enough Zerglings to get us around here. The Banshees aren't able to support in time. And Lambo, with dozens of Zerglings and Banelings, is able to clean up the ground army before the Banshees can get involved. Now there's 6 of them, but Lambo can focus all his efforts on taking out the Banshees themselves. Whoa. God, it's still so annoying to deal with. Oh my god. Ah! Cyclone's on the way behind it, targeting the Hydra Den. 5 Hydras. That's it. Didn't have any larva for more. Trying to fight the queens. Loses a couple Banshees. Get off my queen! Sorry. But the queens will, at least they're trying, but they're mostly dying. Well, retargets the spore, still not enough. God, so annoying to deal with. The Banshees continue to chew through whatever they can get a hold of. And the queens amble their way down and eventually will drive them out, but those speed Banshees are certainly dictating the pace of the game now. Here come the Hell Clones. A follow-up attack from HeroMarine here. Lambo just built a round of drones. How much does he have on the ground? 65 Zerglings, and he has those 5 Hydras. Has rebuilt the Hydra Den. Now going for the groovy spines for range. Banshees headed towards the north. A little bit late on the draw there, giving Lambo just a bit of time to react. And that means he's going to be able to keep this base alive. The Hell Clone headed through the center. The army a bit out of position, only now reacting. But HeroMarine not finding the opportunity, already rushing into the Ghost. So just a bit more convoluted version of the same thing as last game, but the Zerglings just get all over the Cyclones. Cyclones pinned up against the side and mauled to death. And suddenly Lambo has a 40 supply lead against a fragile unit composition. There are 5 siege tanks on the field. HeroMarine isn't lacking for overall defenses, but is there a hive? Again, the hive is somewhat delayed because of all this early aggression. So without Vipers, it's going to be significantly harder and more costly to try to break these siege tanks. Not impossible, but definitely something worth considering. Now, the fact that Lambo does not have even an infestation pit in production means that he does have to get... There you go. The longer he goes without a hive, the harder it's going to be. As HeroMarine is just building more and more siege tanks. Ghosts are now in production. The siege line. Wow, cinematic. The Banshee's still patrolling as well. Well, right up until they use their extra speed to fly quickly into the Hydras. Get cut down to 3. I'm sure HeroMarine not too worried about it, but always nice to have as many as possible. Keep them as a real existential threat, as opposed to an annoyance. 3 command centers on the way, but I think Lambo has distinctly more map control in this game. He has more ability to essentially contain HeroMarine on the 3, maybe 4 bases. And HeroMarine, even though he's at 185 supply, he's really kind of struggling for any way to move out. When you do go into the mech, it takes quite a while to get to the unit composition you could be comfortable moving out with. But I think we are approaching it at this stage. Nearly 200 supply. 1-1 is done. The drone's taking a very odd path. Possibly giving some of this away. But already some of the Banshees find an opportunity. Over on the right flank. Still so many Zerglings. 110 Zerglings on the field. That hive is done. Greater Spire is on the way. HeroMarine. 15 siege tanks. Well spread. Yeah, good luck with that. Oh my god. A cinematic setup. Banshees patrolling. Command centers flying. At a glance, this looks much more like a campaign Terran than a top-tier, one of the best Terrans in the world. Then again, as time goes on, it kind of feels like Terran players are learning that, you know what? Playing defense against the Zerg isn't such a bad idea. And it truly looks like HeroMarine is intent. If he can get up to 5 bases, he can max out, well, comfortably, with plenty of production behind. Has so many orbitals, he can just constantly scan the map. And if he wants to pick a battle, he can pick one that goes into his favor. But he's going to have to weather at least a few waves of attack from Lambo, who now has Vipers on the field. The crowbar of Zerg, used for prying open those defenses, potentially streaming through behind. And there should be Ghost on. They try for something. Between Blue Flame, Siege Tanks, and Ghosts, Lambo thinks better of it. Probably a smart move there. The Zerglings trying to catch the Ghosts. I don't think that cloak works on Ghosts. The Banshee cloak is done, but nothing else so far. And the Ghosts went the wrong direction. Blinding Cloud onto the tanks. And that will help out significantly. The Banelings crash in, but the Planetary doesn't die. Does he have building armor? No. Just a bit of a miscalculation there. And Lambo doesn't end up killing the Planetary, which is disastrous overall. Like, he expended the Banelings. He lost a lot of the Hydras, and he didn't even kill the command center. Which, there's plenty of command centers, but that Planetary on location is incredibly hard to deal with. HeroMarine still maxed out. Lambo, the incomes are about even here. Oh my god, so many. How many command centers? 8 orbitals. He's got 3 he hasn't decided on yet, 2 planetary, so we're well into double digits. Over 1 command center per minute so far. The CCPM continues to race. Banshee's still patrolling. I think that really adds to the cinematic feel of it, is the Banshees just going back and forth. All right, flying patrol. Meanwhile, Lambo has taken every base on his side of the map, so he's looking for new opportunities, including at the top left side where HeroMarine ideally would be taken himself. The Broodlords are in production, and they will be scanned as well. Lambo's at 213 out of 200 supply, which, well, it's frowned upon, but technically you can do. And that will allow him to have a competitive army supply to HeroMarine. 213 here. 132 to 136 army supply without sacrificing. He used the Spore, I assume, trick in order to get that extra supply out. The temporary boost, and then send those drones back to mining. But here come the Banelings in behind. The Viper's not really getting any spells off, but the Banelings just rolling through, drawing fire. There's not that many Thors here. 4 more in production, but they're closing in. The Broodlord count is so damn high. Well, between another one of those fights that just kind of trickles down, but I think the Broodlords are going to be taken out. A costly fight for both sides. Lambo can rebuild a lot easier than Big Gabe here. So, wow. HeroMarine killing 9,200, 5,500 to just 3,818. I don't know if that's counting his own Thor and Ghost in that tally, but HeroMarine definitely taking economically the better end of the fight. Despite Lambo's almost, his technically legal army supply. Baneling's rolling in. HeroMarine. He sent his army out again. And again, it's going to get surrounded on the creep. Lambo rebuilt, and now he's just absolutely crushing it. HeroMarine may have misgauged the position that Lambo was in. Yes, he lost a huge amount of units, but he's had 2-3 bases extra, which... that amount of income. Oh, there's a blinding cloud. And now Big Gabe, well, his supply not looking nearly as large as himself. Yanks a tank in. The Hydras are working their way through. There's not nearly enough in front. Zerglings streaming in. And the Neural Parasite. Oh, to cap things off. Another game ends with Neural Parasited siege tanks. But this time around, Lambo is able to turn it. HeroMarine getting far too ambitious moving out, getting stuck in his base for so long. And at the end of the day, well, that means we're all tied up. Lambo with a capable macro that turns it all around at the end of the day. HeroMarine, I think, more than willing to sit in his base, withdraw within his shell, and turtle up. Which, against someone like Lambo, you're giving him the entire map. That means he's going to have the ability to lose not 1, not 2, 3+ fights like that, and still have the economy to fall back on. Because at the end of the day, if they have 2 more bases than you, that is several armies they are able to throw away and still rebuild.
The numbers don't lie, and they spell disaster for you.
So we're all tied up 1-1. Thank you. What will it be this time? A double Rax Reaper opener, which means almost certainly Not going to be Mech this time around from HeroMarine. As it is difficult to go from the 2 racks into the Mech build behind. Definitely not unheard of. But usually lends itself to more marine oriented. Even gets a drone. It is just going to be the 2 racks build. Out of Big Gabe here. And 2 command centers behind. But getting a drone, keeping Lambo up a third. The Threepers. A couple Marines behind. Actually building them before he cancels one. Okay. A bit odd to delay the add-ons that much. What? Oh, he switches out which barracks is building the Marine in order to put the reactor in a more convenient spot. Lair is on the way. That is a obscenely, maybe not obscenely, but a suspiciously fast lair. A Roach Horn is on the way. HeroMarine, I'm sure, can count whether or not there is a not a nexus, a hatchery at the 3rd base. So this has to be a Nidus, right? Is one of the most obvious Niduses, or at least huge roach timings that you're possibly going to get. There's the roach speed. Couple Cyclones on the way. But Lambo is in the awkward position of having to take his 3rd at this stage. He is entirely banking on these roaches. Essentially dictating the pace of at least until he can get his 3rd base online. HeroMarine still building up his infrastructure. I believe only on 2 barracks still, indeed. So that means he's not going to have very many Marines, relying on the Cyclones to potentially deal with this. No Banshees to backstop this time around. Double engineering base. Well, I don't think he's really respecting... Well, he hasn't actually checked the timing of the 3rd hatchery. And on seeing it being particularly late... Alright, now what? The Ravagers are morphing. Tries to save the Overlord, not quite enough. Roach speed is finishing up momentarily, which means he'll be able to close the distance with the Cyclones. 10 seconds out. Couple Cyclones kiting for now. Ooh. Grenades forcing him back, but Roach speed is done. The Cyclone's on the run. 2 bunkers. HeroMarine now realizing that he is indeed in danger, as Lambo is coming knocking on the door and he barely has any units to answer. Hello? The starport itself is potentially vulnerable. There's really not that much firepower behind. He will finish the bunkers. So the last line of defense is the first line of defense right now for HeroMarine. Which is never a particularly great sign to be in. But the starport itself may very well die here. And out come the medevacs. So at least he has that. The bunkers, but look at the supply. There's just not any units here. HeroMarine just... well, 10, 11 SCVs. He has 3 command centers to fall back on. There's a siege deck. So, he may very well hold. And if Lambo is forced back home, HeroMarine does have 1-1 on the way. He has 3 command centers. That Overlord is giving him vision. I think he managed to miss the starport there. No, why are you salvaging the bunker, you bad man? These greedy well, he's kind of turning it around. HeroMarine salvages the bunker while the Roach Ravager is on his doorstep, which is certainly a bold move. But the confidence is there. just now getting barracks 3, 4, and 5. Usually you'd like to have those several minutes ago. But HeroMarine has not really had the space nor the resources to deal with this. So he's going to pick up and head towards the main. Where? Oh, this is quite a gamble. Lambo up to 63 drones. Just now getting upgrades. Gonna drop out at the corner here. HeroMarine with 4 medevacs, though not really enough units to fill them. Trying to use that 1-1 and the intense cost effectiveness. And so far, so good. Those Marines are very difficult to deal with just Roach Ravager, especially with the siege tanks on the low ground. HeroMarine expends a scan to deal with it. Lambo coming forward. The siege tanks are picked up at the last moment. And I think Big Gabe with big moves here. He knows he was caught off guard, but he's trying to use every edge he has to cut his way back into this. And indeed, that drop limited Lambo's economy. And I think has now turned it around. Jimmy! It's not lounging time. All right, this is intense StarCraft action. All right. 4 sieges. So no matter what, it seems HeroMarine will end up with a bunch of siege tanks in a defensive position against the Zerg. But this time around, Lambo's going to have a hive in a relatively timely manner. Significantly quicker than the previous 2 games against the Mech army. He's building a second factory. One is about to be done, but HeroMarine just is going to have a better unit composition. He survived. It looked almost... It was moments away. A few good corrosive biles from a GG. If he had taken out that starport, the one that HeroMarine repaired so that it wasn't burning, and no more. Typical contractors. He got it out of burning. It is leaving it in the orange, but if that starport had died before the medevacs come out, this game spirals out of control. And HeroMarine likely, if not dead that moment, it wouldn't take many more. But that starport living, the medevacs coming out, and the HeroMarines standing their ground have brought us to this point. And can they bring HeroMarine just a little bit further and turn it all the way around? Mech weapons level 1. 2-2s on the way, but the Vipers, the most dangerous part of the army for Lambo, gathering energy. And there will not be any ghosts to contest them. If the tanks, or even the Marines and medevacs are in a rough position, then the Vipers can easily mitigate or even take them out. Infantry weapons level 2. Chitinous plating is on the way. Ultralisks, a bold choice. He doesn't actually have any ultras done. Clears just that tiny bit of creep. HeroMarine finds a few overlords kind of hanging out there, but the tanks are in a tough position. Blinding clouds are absolutely devastating here. All the tanks removed from the fight, and every single one of them taken out. Chasing down the rest of the army. Without the siege tanks to back it up, he has to pick up into the medevacs. Not able to get any parasitic bombs to whittle down the medevac count, or at least soften up the HP. But a resounding victory for Lambo. Adrenaline's on the way. HeroMarine long-distance mining from the northern base, despite sending a command center to the south. Typical contractors. I don't know. SCV's getting their wires crossed over there, but... Ultralisk on the way. The Vipers are still intact. No ghosts in production. And without them... +2 carapace and chitinous plating. Without them, the Vipers are a significant threat, and the Ultras are a potentially deadly one. HeroMarine once again relying on a solid siege tank spread. to carry the day. But Lambo, I think, has adapted, as the Zerg always do. It's going to be very hard to engage this army and come out on top for Big Gabe here. Here come the Ultras. Any blinding clouds? Doesn't opt for it. Does he try to throw it in the Marines? He does, and that forces them into the banelings. The Ultras will cleave through everyone else. And that's it. Lambo crushes through. He was also bashing into the 4th base simultaneously. He takes out these tanks. He takes out the tanks to the north. And HeroMarine. Well, somebody with that much inertia barely struggles to change up the game plan. Whereas Lambo adapted quickly and is able to overcome. Takes 2 games back to back and turns it around 2-1 in a absolutely brutal series where both players made huge plays, and also there were some mistakes in there, but it makes for the most entertaining roller coasters. And at the end of the day, Lambo will come out on top. The Vipers making all the difference and making it a little bit better for him. Just like I hope this series made it a little bit better for you. Hopefully, if you got the means and motivation, be awesome to check out Patreon, YouTube membership. But, oh my God, soon. Liking and subscribing is still free for now. And checking out Recommended is also awesome. Thank you for watching. Make sure to check out the 2nd channel for more content, streams, games that you might at some point want to watch or play that maybe aren't this one, but either way, check description. Thank you for watching. I'll see you next time. Good luck, have fun. Stay chill.